I have oh my gosh. I'm already like welling up with tears. Okay. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. First, I just want to give a huge thank you to everyone who reached out to me after my last video. Your messages, your love, your support, it meant so much to me. So thank you so much for that. So today's video is not exactly going to be an easy one to film, but it is an important one. And it's a video that I've actually been wanting to film since I started my channel. And I think today is a perfect day for that because today is World Mental Health Day. Over the past couple years, mental health is definitely something I've been noticing is being more accepted. But there is still a pretty big stigma surrounding it. And there are still some people who they don't take it seriously, or they don't take it seriously enough and don't think that mental health is that big of a deal. Or there are some people that just don't flat out believe in it and believe that mental health is a real thing and mental disorders are a real thing that people do struggle with and have to manage throughout their lives. So that's why I'm making this video today. Is I want to talk about a mental disorder that I have. And it's one I've had for a very long time, but not a lot of people know that I have it. I've been very open about my anxiety disorder and the fact that that causes me some situational depression. And I talked about that in my last video. But this is a disorder that I've kept pretty quiet about. It's one that I've felt very ashamed of, and that's because of things I see on social media or things that I've watched in television shows or movies, or things that I've heard strangers say, or things that I've heard my very own friends say. With mental illness, there's already that stigma, with mental illness, but there are even bigger stigmas when it comes to specific mental disorders that people have. And this is one of them. I have obsessive compulsive disorder. This is something that I've known I've had for a very, very long time. But it is something that I was actually clinically diagnosed with, and that was at the beginning of 2019. So I want to read the definition of obsessive compulsive disorder, and this one comes from the Brain and Behavior Research Foundation. OCD is a brain and behavior disorder categorized as an anxiety disorder in the DSM-4. OCD causes severe anxiety in those affected and involves both obsessions and compulsions that interfere with daily life. That's what it is. It's very spot on. So that's why I wanted to share that one. So my earliest memory that I have of OCD was second grade. So I was very young, but I was young to the point where I can still remember it. And I was standing at the bathroom sink, and I could not, for the life of me, stop washing my hands. And it was over and over and over again. I just kept putting on the soap, lathering up, and washing them over and over again. And as much as I wanted to stop, I could not stop. And it was after that incident when my dad explained to me what obsessive compulsive disorder is. So I've known what that is for a very, very long time. My symptoms have changed throughout the years, but many of the obsessions and compulsions that I have now, I have always had, and they've always remained the same. I want to talk about some assumptions that people have about this disorder. So a lot of people tend to think that people who have OCD are germaphobes and they like everything clean and they like everything to be perfect and organized. Now, while those are very valid things that people with OCD do worry about, that's just not the case for every single one of us. There is a lot more that goes into the disorder than just liking things organized and being perfect. So to those who continuously say, it's just my OCD. Oh, I just have a little OCD. Please stop saying that. It is incredibly offensive and very, very disrespectful. I wouldn't wish what I have on my worst enemy. It is awful. And to those people who make light of it and just think, oh, well, it's just being organized, there's so much more to it. So please stop saying, oh, it's just my OCD, if you do not have diagnosed obsessive compulsive disorder. It is an awful thing that people suffer with every single day, and it impacts their daily life. So when people make light of it and they say things like that, I don't think they're saying it intentionally to cause harm and be offensive. And I think that some people don't even realize when they're saying it. It just comes out of their mouth. But the fact of the matter is, it's not something to joke about. So in the past couple weeks, I've actually heard some things, and I actually typed them out so I would remember them. So a girl in my class, she said, you have some weird OCD things going on. And she was talking to another classmate of mine when that classmate was talking about how she liked ice cream and the different types of ice cream that she liked. That was her response to it. Oh, you have some weird OCD things going on. This one, a very good friend of mine actually said this. She said, oh, that's just my OCD. And she was talking about how she likes her towels organized. I do remember this one time. This was not in the past couple weeks. This was a while ago. I want to say it was actually maybe like a year ago now. But one of my very good friends, she said, oh, I think everyone just has a little OCD in them. That one really bothered me. That one really hurt. That hurt my feelings. That hurt my feelings a lot. I hope to God that's not true. And B, again, it's playing into these stereotypes of people who have OCD like things organized and really like things clean and perfect. So, you know, everyone's got a little bit of that in them. There's so much more that goes into it than just those things. And again, those aren't even symptoms for all people. I can tell you right now, I am looking out in front of me. I have a hat and a robe and pajamas and a hanger or two on my bed. My bed is a mess. It is not made. I have clothes thrown all over the place over here. And I will tell you this though, I really like my closet organized. And hear me out. I like my closet organized because I like my closet organized, not because I have obsessive compulsive disorder. Here's the thing. There's a big difference between someone who has a real legitimate fear of contamination causing harm or death to them or someone they love. And that's why they have to clean and they have to keep things organized. There's a big difference between that and someone who just likes things a little tidy. So now I want to talk about my symptoms and my obsessions and compulsions that I have. I'm not going to get super detailed, and I'm not going to tell you every single thing because there is a lot. I don't want to say all of this, but the reason I'm doing it is because I want people to know that there's so much more to OCD than hand washing and organization. So bear with me because I'm nervous and I might well up a little bit. I did write this down just so that I can try and be a little more professional, but I am still nervous to speak about it. Okay. So as I said, OCD is something that it affects your daily life. One of the biggest things, I want to say everyone with it, or 99% of people who have OCD suffer from this, and it's feeling guilty all the time. I'm consistently feeling guilty about random thoughts that just pop into my head and things that I shouldn't feel guilty about. Even the smallest things can make me feel super duper guilty all the time. I'm always having to justify my thoughts and the things I'm thinking, and I have to voice them out loud, and I have to have someone hear me so that they can reassure me, Maria, everything's okay. Like, it's okay. So feeling guilty about everything all the time, that's not fun, but that is a big symptom. I have been late to work and school and other important events due to some of my compulsions that I have. So I have this compulsion where I have to check the stove every time I walk by it. So anytime I enter the kitchen, or anytime I leave the kitchen, and anytime I leave the house or go upstairs for bed, I have to check the stove. And not just like look at it. I mean, I have to take my hands and turn each of the knobs to the right every single time. Even if I know the stove has not been used all day and someone has told me they've turned it off, I still have to. And it's because I have a fear, an obsession, I obsess about this, that if I don't check the stove knobs and I don't turn them to the right to make sure that they're off, then gas could leak out. Gas could leak out and we would all die from the gas, or gas will leak out and it will cause an explosion, or gas will leak out and it will start a fire and we will all be trapped in the house and it will cause a fire. Maybe some of us will get out, but someone will be trapped in here and someone is going to die, or we will all die from the gas leaking out. Even as I say it, I know I sound irrational. And you're probably thinking, what the heck? Really? Yes, really. These are things that run through my brain all the time, checking the stove knobs, and that's why I check them. And I remember the first time I told my psychiatrist about this, and she said, what's gonna happen if you don't check them? And I said, all of that. I said, someone could die. And when I said those words, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is insane. It's insane that I think this thing, but it is unfortunately something that I think, and it's something that a lot of people with OCD think about. Death and harm coming to them or someone they love. And it's daily thoughts like that. It's awful. There have been times when I will get to my car and I think to myself, wait, did I check the stove? I probably did, but I don't know if I did for sure. And then it's like a battle in my mind of, no, you don't have to check it. And then the other part is like, yes, you do. You have to check it. And I will run back inside and turn the stove knobs and make sure they're turned to the right. And they're all off, but I have to check them and it makes me late. And that's happened multiple times. The thing is, this is just one of my checking obsessions that I have. Unfortunately, the biggest symptom that I have is intrusive thoughts. So this one is not a fun one to have. I mean, none of these are fun to have, but God, this one is awful. So I will have very, very vivid imagery pop into my head of either myself or someone I love dying in a very horrific, violent manner. These thoughts come on at the most random times of the day or night. They are involuntary, they are random, they are horrific, and they affect my daily life. For instance, there was one time I was laying in bed and I was getting ready to go to sleep, and I knew I was going to be cooking the next day, and I immediately had this vision of me chopping food with a gigantic butcher knife, and the butcher knife slipping and my hand slipping and me falling into the knife and stabbing myself in the heart. I've had images of me opening the oven and then slipping on my socks in the kitchen and falling into the oven and dying. There are many, many, many others that I've had, but those are just the two that I'm going to mention. Because the other ones are violent. They're horrific. These ones obviously are as well, but I feel insane talking about this. And I know that that's not a good thing, because I'm not insane. This is just something that I go through every day. It's something I know that it isn't me, it's my OCD. And I know that you guys are hearing this and you might be thinking, well, that's not so bad. You just have a couple bad thoughts every so often. But here's the thing. These are visions that are consistent and violent and horrific, and it affects your daily life. It affects you every day. It affects you every night. It affects certain tasks you're doing, big or small tasks, because the thoughts come in at any time of the day, and it impacts you, and it takes away from what you're doing and trying to get things done around the house, or trying to get homework done, or even your day job. It affects that. It affects my sleep. There are times I cannot go to sleep, and they're not just like little flashes. No, these are vivid, vivid images. This is something I would not wish on anyone. No, I want you to know that I'm not saying any of this to scare you. I'm not doing that, but I am saying all of this because I want you to know how serious it is. And I want you to know that it's not okay to joke about it or make light about it, or just to randomly say that you have this. Because I'm going to be honest, people who have this do not like to say that they have OCD. Me explaining some of my symptoms right now, and especially my intrusive thoughts, I realize that that might come across kind of scary to someone who doesn't understand it. But the thing is, it's a very real symptom that people have who have OCD. Intrusive thoughts are awful. And they're not fun to share. Since I have been diagnosed, things have changed a little bit. So some of my obsessions and compulsions, they've gotten a lot better. And when I say better, I don't mean that they've gone away. They haven't gone away, but they've gotten better in a sense that they're easier to manage now. I see a therapist, I see a psychiatrist, and I do take medication for this. There have been days that I don't have to physically turn the stove knobs to the right, and I can just look at them and know that they're off. There have been days when I haven't had my intrusive thoughts, and days where I'll feel one coming on, but then I can just like shake it off and forget about it. So they've gotten better in a sense that they've gotten easier to manage. I remember the first day that I didn't check the stove knobs and turn them to the right, and I walked out the door, went to my car, got to the car, and realized you did not check the stove knobs. And I got in the car and I drove off, and everything was okay. That was huge for me. That was amazing. And I wanted to tell the world about it, but I was like, no one's gonna understand that. But I remember that day, and that was a really good day. So yeah, the symptoms have gotten better. Also, when I'm having guilty thoughts now and I'm feeling really guilty, even though I shouldn't be feeling guilty, I'm able to say now, hey, Maria, this isn't you, this is your OCD. And I'm able to be like, okay, all right, I'm okay. Everything's okay. I shouldn't be feeling guilty right now. That's been really, really good for me. Being able to kind of separate my OCD from just me, that's been really good in managing it. Being able to say, these aren't my thoughts, this is my disorder that I have. It's been a lot easier when it comes to managing. And I keep saying managing because I remember saying to my therapist, after actually being diagnosed with it, and saying it's just something I'll have to deal with for the rest of my life. And she said, no. It's not something you have to deal with. It's something you have to manage. And she expressed just how important that language is, being a bit more positive with it. And so I like to say that now. It is something I manage. There really isn't any conclusive evidence to say where exactly OCD comes from, if it's hereditary or if it's environmental. There really isn't any conclusive evidence to say yes or no on where it comes from. But I will say, now that it's easier for me to manage it and I know how to do it, and I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to keep learning things about it. I know now that, if my kids ever have it, I'll help them manage it as well. I really hope that this video shed a little bit more light on obsessive compulsive disorder, and I really hope that you'll think next time before you say the words, oh, I just have a little OCD. If you have any more questions about me and what I go through and the disorder, leave them in the comments down below. And if you think that you might have this disorder from the things that I'm saying, and you're kind of relating to a lot of the things I'm saying, please do not self-diagnose. please seek the help of a licensed mental health professional to get more help. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to listen to what I have to say and hearing my story. I hope you have a wonderful World Mental Health Day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.